Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast or media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, Mathmachine, Jordan, and Stryker. Today is our 89th episode, and we're discussing the 1999 Dragon Tales episode, To Fly with Dragons. So, let's get things started.
Emmy wished on a dragon scale, and that's what started Dragon Tales. They
Yep.
climbed on the back of their dragon friends. Now the adventures never end. Wait.
That's a good way to start, if nothing else. So yeah, Dragon Tales was a show that was made by the Children's Television Workshop, later Sesame Workshop, who was famously behind the show Sesame Street. It was actually co-produced with Sony. And the thing about the show is the backstory behind it is just as interesting about the show itself. It was based on the works of Ron Rudiker, who was an artist that made paintings about dragons. And these paintings are truly, really amazing pieces of artwork. I mean, these are some of the most beautiful paintings I have ever seen, and I'm not just saying that because, haha, Dragoness fans. That no, they are legitimately really good art pieces of artwork, and I could tell why someone would be inspired by them to make a show. And what's interesting about it, go ahead, Meth.
I mean, just to prove that point, they were so good. A TV producer made it his life's mission to turn that into a TV series.
Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, the production itself is also interesting on that note. Like, there were plenty of concepts that were ultimately scrapped for the later thing. Like, believe it or not, before Zach and Wheezie were the conjoined Siamese siblings that we saw, there were plans for them being a legit couple. And in some respects, you can kind of see that in later seasons, like 2 and 3, more or less.
I did not know that. Wow, that is something that would have been very interesting there. But yeah, apparently Ron himself actually was a consultant on the show, and all of which were implemented by the team. He actually was an executive producer on it, and this is the only piece of media I believe he actually produced. And he really put his heart and soul into it. And the show itself is really just a gentle, nice, relaxing show. This is a show meant for very young children, but it's one that it doesn't feel condescending. It doesn't feel like it's talking down to children. It feels like it's talking to children at their own terms, basically.
Yeah, this would basically be what Bluey would do later, except this kind of did it first. Like, there are some aspects where it kind of does talk down a little bit, but not in a way that makes it feel like they're dumbifying anything.
Exactly. I definitely can kind of see that there. And like I said, the dragon designs in general of this show are really just very charming, and we'll definitely talk way more about them as the show goes on. But for now, let's start with the show itself. It begins with its very charming theme song, which sets the gentle tone for the rest of the show and introduces the characters and the overall theme of it. And it sounds great. It's a really nice, relaxing thing. Angron gave us a little bit of a preview there.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for openings that generally introduce the concepts right off the bat. Like, this and Thundercat's Roar are easily the best examples of openings that establish what it needs to and gets it across in a way that's quick, more or less concise, and in a way that's actually charming to look at.
Oh, definitely. And contrary to popular belief, this theme song was not sung by alt rocker Liz Phair. Although if it was, it would have been better than anything on her Fun Style album. Had to say. But the episode we're talking about today, To Fly with Dragons, is actually the first episode of the show. The episode begins with Max and Emmy, the two main human characters, finding themselves moving into their new house. Max, the younger of the two, doesn't like the place, but Emmy tells him to give it a chance. And the human designs in the show they're decent. They're decent enough, you know? You can definitely tell that the dragons were more the standard of the show. That's where I really had to pop in that, but the human designs are not terrible. I will say that. I've seen a lot worse from a lot better artists, you know?
Yeah, nothing offensive.
Yeah, absolutely nothing offensive. Also, this kind of hits home a little bit because at the time of watching Dragon Tales and whatnot, I was in Atlanta, Georgia when I was like 3 or 4 years old. That's definitely something a little topical but fun.
Yeah.
It's all good. No, it's all good.
Yeah.
But yep, what happens is the two children go up to their playroom, which is fully furnished and has drawings of dragons on the wall. One thing I do like about them is Max and Emmy are actually shown to be Hispanic because of their parents, which is a pretty good way of doing representation while not being like beating you over the head with it, which again for a show made in the 90s is really, really charming in that way. They did it like that. But
At least
Emmy
it's not like the representation these days.
Oh God, Coco
well,
Melon.
let's not get there, but
No, just
yeah, I know. But Emmy is voiced by Andrea Libman, who's probably best known for being Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy, and
He
the
was?
Ocean Group. Yep, of course.
Wow.
And the Ocean Group worked on this show as well, and I believe this is like the fourth or maybe fifth time we've talked about the Ocean Group on the podcast.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because these guys have been in everything. I think that someone has to keep a tally how many times we mention these guys compared to how many times we're going to mention Frank Welker over the time of the podcast. I think it's probably going to be neck and neck.
Oh, absolutely. Also, other characters are Ty Ordell, the same voice who did Drooly from Crypto the Superdog, and Kathleen Barr, best known for Queen Chrysalis. But we'll get to those in a moment. Oh yeah, and also the same voice actors who did another character we're going to be talking about. Also voiced a character from Dinosaur Train. To be continued on that.
Yep, for sure. Anyway, go ahead, Math.
I'm going to assume the number of times that we're going to mention Ocean Group is going to be over 9,000.
Had to do it.
Nice.
Had to do it.
Had to go there.
Yep. But what happens is the pair of children find a secret drawer and pull on it, revealing a small box. Unfortunately, the small box does not contain a secret string, which opens to have a secret compartment in the secret box to reveal one embarrassing photo of SpongeBob at the Christmas party. Had to do it, sorry. But the design of the box, it has like these ornate dragon carvings on it, and it really looks beautiful. It looks like something that really does feel otherworldly in a way.
Absolutely.
But the pair open it up to reveal a shining Dragoness Scale. Emmy shows Max a drawing of a dragon in the book she's reading, as Max tries telling her dragons aren't real. Emmy says that she believes them, then she reads an inscription on the inside of the box.
Yep. I wish with all my heart to fly with dragons, roll credits, in a land apart. Okay, interesting fact about this actually. When me and my little sister were growing up in Atlanta, Georgia, we found this oddly colored rock that nearly looked exactly like the Dragon Scale from the Dragon Tale show that we saw. Every time we pulled out this rock, we would absolutely recite that chant in the hopes that we would ultimately go to the Dragonlands because we were dumb kids. But it was still fun to make believe.
It was the same with me and my sister, except we would hope to find one day.
It's adorable.
Oh, man.
It really shows how popular the show was if it actually managed to create kind of a shared cultural experience like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But what happens as soon as she finishes reading the inscription, the dragons on the wallpaper come to life and fly around them in a dazzling array of colors. Sadly, even though they're made out of paper, Olivia from Paper Mario is not one of them.
Oh, Shark would have killed for that sort of thing.
Regrettably. But what happens is when the dragons dissipate, the two of them find themselves in a mysterious place that is filled with color. And it's here that the show design really kicks it into another gear because the background designs of this show are so beautiful that it feels like a place that you like as a little child you would imagine being in. This really just reflects that. And again, I really feel like the artwork on this show really, really is amazing.
Yeah, Ron Rodecker really went all out with this one in character design, in artwork, in just a lot of things. Again, he had some creative influence on this, and it clearly shows here, and we love it.
Math?
Yeah, Math.
Yeah, I was about to say the original artist was one of the executive producers, and boy does it show.
Yeah. But like I say, in a way, it creates a unique appearance that, again, is so different from the other shows in the time, and that it feels a bit like a live painting, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like moving pictures. Heyo, animation in the show.
But seriously, what happens next is Emmy picks up a rock that changes color, while Max finds a white pointy rock. Emmy then looks up in the sky. She sees a blue and a pink dragon fly overhead. And one thing that's interesting to point out is because Ron Whitaker was a dragon artist, the designs of the dragons on this show are a little bit different compared to that of his paintings. They have like a wider eyes, I think a more simplified snout, amongst other things. The belly ridges are still there. And one thing about the dragon designs in this show, they always remind me a little bit of Disney's version of the Reluctant Dragon. Now, was that intentional? I can't really say if it was like intentionally to make them look a little bit like Walt Disney's version of the Reluctant Dragon or not. But
I mean, he was probably inspired by that, but he was also probably inspired by the same thing Reluctant Dragon was inspired by. Ancient dragons.
oh
But
yeah, and they're
that's just me.
yeah, and this show is really surprisingly well written, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But what happens right now is the blue dragon Ord is busy looking for his lost tooth, while the pink one Cassie notices the children. Cassie has the same voice actress as Diamond Tiara from Friendship is Magic and Bijou from Hamtaro. Her voice here is pretty much just Bijou, but without the French accent.
Yeah, she also has the same voice actress as, again, a character from Dinosaur Train, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, we definitely will.
And you forgot to mention that so further on, you'll learn that these dragons have these weird little crystal necklaces on their necks to represent who they are.
Yeah, Cassie has a blue orb. Ord has a what I
Sun.
can only assume to be a a thunder badge. Sorry, and no, he probably didn't earn it from Lieutenant Surge. But
Zack
Zack
and
and-
Wheezie have like little
Use-
little notes on their necklaces.
we'll get to
Yeah.
that in a moment. But yep,
Yeah.
It's adorable. Like I said, that is such a fun detail too that they actually put that in there. It's kind of, I guess, like an equivalent to a cutie mark in My Little Pony, but they do their own spin on it, and it's really good that way. One thing that I do like about this is the idea that humans are just as fictional to dragons as dragons are to humans is a really fun idea, and that's one that doesn't get explored as much as it should, probably because of the audience that what this show is meant for. But I feel like if this was meant for an older audience, they would have gone with that a little more, because Cassie says something like, "Oh, they're children. I read about them in a book once." Like how Emmy said, "Oh, they're dragons. I read about them in a book once." I really do like that. And
yep,
again, I feel like it's kind of a shame they didn't do anything with it, but it's still a fun concept.
absolutely.
The way that I see that is that the way that how you said it is that dragons were curious about humans, and same with each personality. I see that Cassie is just like you see like every little girl about her age but not her size, that she's kind of timid and smart and shy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And in the opening, they kind of say like what dragon is like. Cassie's timid, shy but smart, or strong, but he's like a big teddy bear.
he's Eduardo from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Let's not beat around the bush.
Pretty
kind
much.
of. You can kind of make the resemblance there. But yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we also have another lots of fun touches here. Like both Ord and Max are afraid of each other, despite
Yep.
Ord being like 5 times larger than Max. And as well as basically when they introduce each other, basically Emmy's response to Cassie goes, "You can talk," and then Cassie immediately responds with, "So can you." And that is really, like I say, a fun little bit of writing there. How like they consider themselves to be mutually fictitious in a way.
Yeah,
Wait, go ahead.
he can fly. He can fly. He can talk.
Nice,
I had to
nice,
make that
classic.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ord basically is afraid that Max is gonna bite him, and apparently, I guess he is also relative to that one guy from Monsters Inc. She could have got me, man. She could have got me. She was only 6. I could have died, man.
Oh man.
Classic. But
Oh, God.
But Emmy asks Cassie where they are, and she says that they're in Dragonland, and then asks if there's dragons where they live, and a really cute little detail there. We then hear a
Yeah.
growling sound, as it turns out to be Ord's stomach as he's hungry. He reaches
Yep.
into his pouch and he pulls out some kernels, then breathes fire on to make some kind of a pink popcorn. And dragon fire being used for mundane tasks is something that always gets a laugh out of me, no matter where it is used.
I agree to that, and yeah, the kernel that Ord pulled out of his pouch was like dragon popcorn. they're kind of like a purplish pinkish color when Ord pulls them out. Even though if you like try to like pause and zoom in your eyes, you're trying to look, you can see that they're like about maybe the size of a normal size popcorn kernel that we humans. But yeah, Ord just has them like in a like almost like purple pinkish like Lady Lumia the character from Bartok, it's like almost that kind of pinkish purple
Ludmilla.
color.
It kind of is, actually. It's a good point.
Yeah. Also, it's magic. I ain't gotta explain shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a little more down to earth than that, but I digress.
Yep.
Mm.
But after they eat the popcorn, Ord is still upset that he can't find his toot, causing Emmy to suggest that he look everywhere that he went that day. Ord mentions that he could have left it at Singing Springs with Zack and Wheezie, and when Emmy and Max ask where that is, Ord and Cassie say that they'll show them and take off, which causes the kids to reveal that humans can't fly. And in another really fun little bit of writing here, the dragons being completely shocked, like, "Oh, humans can't fly." It is fun. It is fun. I feel like the writing of the show was a lot more clever than people gave it credit for.
Mm.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty clever in that regard. Like a huge clash of cultures being like, "Oh, hello, what's this? Okay, what's this?"
Even they just said that Cassie has just reading about humans, and I think maybe she could have like got it clicked, like, oh wait, humans can't fly, they don't have wings. I mean, the way they're writing this, like, it's kind of a little mishap. Like, oh wait, Cassie reads the books. Emmy also read about the dragons, and it's like, okay, wait, you guys should know, like, wait a minute, two things don't go work here. That like Cassie just said, like, oh wait, I know this. I should offer to help, but they're just like young.
Yeah, they're definitely young. Also reminds me of this one line from StarCraft Brood War, where Admiral Duval is talking with Alexei Stukov about unleashing Zerg upon the thing, and like he's Stukov is just like, we've all seen it takes 100, and he's like telling him dissecting a dead Zerg in a lab is one thing, unleashing it upon man is another. Like, there's a huge difference between seeing something and then actually having the balls to do it or understand it, more or less.
Oh, no. Yep, I definitely can kind of see that. But anyway, what happens is Emmy decides to ride on Cassie's back and Max rides on Ord's. The group fly past a beautiful mountain before they landing at Singing Springs, which is a fountain that plays music. Unfortunately, the Star Rod is currently not there because Kirby pulled it out, despite DDD begging him not to.
He's probably fighting Nightmare right now.
Had to mention that. But Ord calls for Zack and Wheezie, who come out of a knucker hole. Which this is something that really blew my mind when I looked it up, because knucker holes are actually part of dragon mythology, because dragons were actually called knuckers in Old England, and basically the dragons, or knuckers, lived in knucker holes in the ground. And for a show like this to reference something that is so obscure, I actually had to look it up. I give them props. I give them all the props in the world. They did their homework with this,
Yeah,
I didn't know about that. Like, maybe I watched Dragon Tales when I was growing up, and I forgot that the knucker hole was a way for some dragons to travel underground, or if they want to stay above ground and fly. But I forgot that, Zack and Wheezie and their family live in the ground in the knucker holes, because that's how they kind of liked it, I guess. But then they're like, there's like so many different types of dragons that are very interesting. I forgot about that. They lived in the hole.
Yeah.
Zack and Wheezie.
Yeah, it's also funny because, like, I hear knucker hole and I think of those holes, but also the pet term for a dragon's other holes, if you know what I mean.
Okay, let's
yeah, all right.
But anyway,
here.
Yeah. But anyway, but like I said, for a show basically to reference that is something that is really just impressive to me. That that they would actually reference a bit of mythology that I think most adults would know that,
Yeah,
so they did their homework. Yeah, I didn't before this episode, but
Same.
What happens is we get to see Zack and Wheezie, and Zack and Wheezie basically are a two-headed dragon that share the same body, with Zack being a green-scaled male and Wheezie being a purple-scaled female. Sadly, we do not know if Devin and Cornwall are their uncles.
or
Oh,
Leok, but that's that's a whole other ballpark entirely.
Yeah. Yep. But what happens is Wheezie says great balls of fire, so apparently she set Jerry Lee Lewis's piano on fire. Wheezie is actually voiced by Kathleen Barr, aka Trixie and Chrysalis from Friendship is Magic. And yep. And the voice she does here is one that is kind of shrill, but it's also, I don't know, it's one that is a lot of fun. She probably, out of the quartet of dragons, she probably is my favorite of them, to be honest, because there's something about the personality that it feels pretty good. Like, this feels like what if she got to voice Pinkie Pie? It probably would have been something a little bit like this, you know?
Yep, it's definitely
Kind
an
of.
interesting one.
But I kind of like how she plays Trixie with the bad attitude, like, I am the great and powerful Trixie, because I could see her playing Trixie than Pinkie Pie. Maybe if she was younger, I could see her doing it with Pinkie Pie being at that time of age. But I
Yeah,
like her playing Wheezie because she always says, love it! When
Yeah, she
she always, when
definitely,
Zack and
goes-
Weasley like something cool, and Wheezie always just be the
yeah.
happy-go-lucky. Her brother just like a little overprotective of it.
yeah, we
I can
got
kind of see that. I can
Yeah.
definitely see that.
Yeah, it's
And, like-
definitely stark opposites because we got Zack being the calmer, more orderly brother, while Wheezie's about as chaotic as as a freaking tornado Kirby.
I mean, it's basically true. Yes, during the entire series of the Dragon Tales, we see a lot that Wheezie just goes off the hand than anything else. While her brother is like, no, we should probably think about this more about other people's safety and stuff. But as Wheezie kind of gets like, okay, we probably should, Zachy, and all that stuff, she is kind of trying to balance out her crazy to her brother's calmness.
Yeah, we got Zack as the Donatello compared to Wheezie's Michelangelo, pretty much.
Exactly.
Pretty much, or more like the Odd Couple, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Yep.
Her catchphase of is a fun one. It's a fun one. Yeah, exactly. He did a much better impression than I. Thank you. But
Yep.
Ord asks if he left his tooth in their house, causing Zack and Weasley to return to their knucker hole. Unfortunately, we do not see if they go down the wrong hole and find Bilbo Baggins down there smoking weed, but had to say sorry. But when they get down there,
How queer.
now when they get down there, neither Zack nor Wheezie can find it, and it's already got a nice dynamic. You mentioned Donnie and Michelangelo, but I definitely got more of an Odd Couple vibe from them, with Zack being the Felix and Wheezie being the Oscar, because his side is perfectly neat and tidy, and her side is being, dirty and messy all over the place. That definitely is a kind of dynamic, and it's a fun one.
Yep, order and chaos right there.
Yep, exactly. Zack actually mentions this because he snarks at Wheezie about not being able to find the tooth in her mess, and her reaction of, what mess, is a pretty fun one.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
Ord realizes that it isn't there, as Cassie realizes that they could look at the school in the sky, and then we cut to them going there, and we see Norman Greenbaum playing his electric guitar, and, I'm sorry, my mistake. I was talking about Spirit in the Sky, not School in the Sky. My mistake.
Could have also been freaking that one character from Castle in the Sky who I forget, but
That
it
too.
It works for a Ghibli joke, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yep. There's a really cute moment with an actual pan through of the school with various dragons playing games and that, and it's a fun little bit of world building. But I will say this: the one thing that took me out of it a little is they play that stock sound effect of the children laughing. If you've heard it once, you've heard it everywhere, and it took me out of it a little bit. Granted, as a little kid, you would not notice that, but as like a adult, you definitely do notice it. But it's so tiny that it doesn't really matter. But the dragons land at the school entrance as the door opens to reveal Quetzal. Thankfully, this Quetzal is... Yep. He's a lot nicer than the Quetzal from Q the Winged Serpent, let's go that way.
Yeah, or and better made, too.
That, too. He has a really warm voice, and he's kind of the wise old mentor type, which is always a fun little archetype in this show.
Yeah, it's also complete with him saying that he came from Mexico, to the point of him understanding Spanish and knowing a few Hispanic traditions like salsa and whatnot. So
And other also Spanish things, like he can he in some episodes he does say a lot of like Spanish words that I guess Max and his sister understand a bit, but I'm like, oh, there's like some history here. Like there's so much around the series like we don't know. Like how did this dragon scale get into the kids' house and everything else? There's like a huge mystery that I never figured out. But we
Yeah,
don't need to get down about that part.
Yeah, even crazier, there is a legit city of gold in this universe. So unclear if it's called El Dorado or not, but that also ties in, which is pretty crazy. Oh man.
Oh,
I see
yeah.
that. I definitely kind of see that. But what happens basically is Quetzal is surprised to see human children there, and Max and Emmy are surprised to see him speak Spanish. Quetzal claims he comes from Mexico, which this is one thing that I feel like the show could have done a little bit differently. I know they wanted to probably have all the dragons have uniform designs and not just confuse the little children in that, but I feel like Quetzal could have looked a little bit more like the Quetzalcoatl of mythology. Like maybe give him a little bit more of an elongated body, or give him like feathers, or I don't know, something like that to differentiate himself, or to make him look a
Maybe
little bit
if
more, maybe more
if
like
he was like maybe
multicolored, even.
Yeah.
if maybe like he had a maybe like there's so many like mysteries about Quetzal and the house that Max and Emmy are staying. There's like so much mystery. Like maybe if
Yeah.
Quetzal was younger, like if they told about his side, maybe humans did once were in Dragonland many years ago or so. I don't know. And
I
it's just like
mean,
a whole lot of mystery with this series. It's
I
cute, that's
mean,
why I liked it.
I mean, I will soon see that was the case a while back. There were humans in Dragonland once upon a time, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm sure years have passed since then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely, like I said, he really is a fun character too, but I can kind of see,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm not knocking that against him. I'm just saying it's one thing that could have been a little bit of an improvement, but still, it's really good. But
Mhm.
what happens is, I do like the joke about how like Max says, "Oh, we could be cousins," and his laugh at that is pretty sweet. And that, and then we get probably the best moment, and at the moment that actually feels like the most, I guess, soothing of the episode, where we find out the origin of how human children came to Dragonland. And Quetzal reads the story of how it happened using magic dust to make it come to life. We actually see a green scaled dragoness fly out of the book as he reads the story, in a really nice little touch there. The story involves a lonely dragoness who just wanted to meet and play with human children, and what happens is she sprinkles magic dust on her scales and scatter them all across the world, meaning that any children that can find it can visit Dragonland whenever they want. And this story feels like something that was written like 300-400 years ago. It has a kind of a mystic old school vibe that
Mm-hmm.
I want to see an origin episode of this. I want to see like an episode of how this dragoness managed to find children in the first place, what their reaction was to her, and all that sort of stuff. But Matt,
Yeah.
you were saying?
I really do like how it had that sort of sweet, kind children's fairy tale vibe to it. That was a nice
Oh,
touch.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Also,
what I'm saying. Like there should be like of all the episodes I've seen of Dragon Tales growing up, they could at least throw an episode or a special movie for Dragon Tales, like how the whole story of this one dragoness came to the human world and everything else. They should have done that, like the final series for Dragon Tales.
yeah, absolutely. Also,
Unfortunately, sorry,
Oh,
but
man.
unfortunately, the third season of Dragon Tales, something we'll talk about in a little bit. Why that probably wouldn't happen, unfortunately. But for now, like I said, this story is a lot of fun, and it has a really nice vibe to it. Again, like I said, an episode that just adapted this would have been a nice finale. Let's say it that way. It would have been a nice like bow to wrap everything around. But for what it is, it's still a good show too. But Max and Emmy realize that they found obviously one of this dragoness's scales, but Ord is still upset about not finding his tooth. Max finally realized that the pointy white rock he found earlier was actually Ord's tooth, and he gives it back to him. Ord is overjoyed by this and embraces him, revealing that when dragons lose teeth, they get to make a wish on it, which is also something from mythology. because I believe it also was in like English mythology. Dragon's teeth, if you found it and you blew on it, you could make a wish. And that again is something that, a show meant for like preschoolers made in 1999 has a lot more research put into it than actual like shows or movies about dragons meant for adults. So
That
what does
is
that tell
pretty-
you?
That is
It
pretty
tells
crazy.
you a lot.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
The more you learn.
Also, first, the more you know. Okay. Firstly, the One Piece is real again for the
Yeah.
tooth thing.
Nice,
Secondly, oh man, that is honestly pretty crazy. That's honestly pretty crazy that so much detail went into this. Ron Rodecker really deserves all the praise for going into that much detail and research. Like, to be fair, this is from an era where the internet was not as mainstream as people thought it was, and people like Mary Pope Osborne had to ultimately resort to freaking books and actually going to places to get their scoop, like with Night of the Ninjas and whatnot.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I can definitely say it. Matt, you were saying?
This one's a bit personal. When Max showed Ord the tooth, and then Ord hugged Max, and Max said, "Help! I'm being squished." That reminded me that I have a pet rabbit, and whenever I hug him, I just imagine him going, "Help! I'm being squished," just like that.
That's awesome.
Rabbit has resigned himself to that fate. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's just I could definitely see why they would remind you of that. That is amazing. I love when things like that can connect with people. Something
Yep.
as so simple as that is really so
And-
sweet.
It kind of shows like everything, no matter what shape or size or where you're from, you have that connection of like a bond, like we're friends. Like during the series, Max and Orc are literally like best buds. Same with Cassie
Yes.
and Emmy. They are like
Yes.
a bond no matter where you go in the world. You have a bond with someone or something, no matter what.
Yeah, and that bond can certainly be tested, like with Transformers 1's Megatron and Optimus Prime, but sometimes those bonds, they're still there, regardless of what happens and what one may think.
Exactly. And
Eat
like
your
I said,
heart out, MLP. Oh my gosh.
yeah. MLP is just as good as this. Let's be real. MLP
Yeah.
is, it's on the same. FIM, let's just say, Friends of His Magic is on the same thing as this.
Yeah.
But what happens next is Ord's wish is that Max and Emmy could come to play whenever they want, and Quetzal remarks that he can grant that wish because he heads towards a closet and pulls out one of the dragon scales. He gives it to Ord, and he tells that him and the others can use it anytime they want Max and Emmy to come join them. Max and Emmy basically want to go back home, but they don't know how. And so Quetzal decides to teach them the rhyme to go home, which is...
Yeah, I got it.
Go ahead.
Wish with
To
all
use
my
this-
heart.
Not that one, different one. I got it. I wish to use this rhyme to go back home until next time. There
Yep.
you go. But
Yep.
yeah, that raises a few questions. That raises a question, honestly. Like,
Oh, go
what
ahead.
rhyme would Ord, Cassie, and Zack and Wheezie use to get the kids here? Would it be like something similar to what Max and Emmy said? I wish with all my heart to play with humans in a land apart. That would be
Probably.
pretty
It
weird.
very well could be. Very well
They
could
never
be.
showed it in the series about if the other dragons to summon Emmy, Max and Emmy, because they never do it. But we do see when they open the chest, they see the dragon scale is blinking that they're being summoned. So there has to be like a way. They never show it
Yeah,
to the audience
show
like
don't-
how they
yeah.
called them.
I mean, there's show don't tell, but when you do none, you have none. It's still
Mhm.
fun. Oh man. Anyways,
Yep. But like I say, what happens is after that, Max and Emmy basically promise their friends they'll be back as soon as possible. And you really feel the friendship between them, despite this only being a 12-minute episode and the entire group being together for maybe 4 of those 12 minutes. You still feel a bond between them, which again, for a show like this, is really incredibly written.
Mhm.
absolutely. This is why this is easily one of if not my favorite kids shows. Period. And I don't say
Mhm.
that a lot for a lot of kids shows that I've seen now that I'm a little older. Lion Guard, not really. Cyber Chase, I would probably have to revisit to give it a better idea. But this, 100%, no
It's
question.
special. When I grew up, I love watching Dragon Tales, and I think I begged my parents to get me a Dragon Tail plushie of Cassie because I loved Cassie. She was like my favorite out of all. I would carry this
Oh,
Dragon Tail plushie of Cassie wherever I go with me. And I guess I must have lost her over the years. I guess I
oof.
haven't found her, but she was my favorite.
Yeah, oh man. If I were still a kid, I would have 100% agreed with you, but that Cassie was 100% my favorite, for good reason, even.
Yeah.
Oh,
But like I say,
speaking of
go ahead.
merchandise, when I was little, we got a Dragon Tales book of one of the episodes where Max and Emmy attend the school in the sky for a little bit to see how school works and overcoming their fear of first day jitters, which, booyah.
Wow, I
Reminds
did not
me.
know that.
Reminds me, I had an Ord plush as a kid.
Oh, lucky.
Nice. That's
Like I said, it
adorable.
was that's what like yeah, mostly Cassie and Orc were mostly more popular with the kids compared to Zach and Wheezy, but you could like put your hand in their pouch a little bit as a kid when if you had them, like they can open their pouches a bit.
Oh yeah, you could.
That's awesome. That's a nice little touch.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. And I always liked stuff like that too. So
Yep.
what happens is Max and Emmy return to their playroom and find the Dragon's Scale safely inside the box. The episode ends with their mom asking if they enjoy their new house, and they say, love it, in the exact same way that Wheezy does. Yep, exactly like that. And so, yep, that was the first episode of Dragon Tales, and it's very interesting because Dragon Tales had two normal seasons in that, but for some reason, the show went on hiatus between season 2 and season 3. Season 2 finished around, I believe, like 2001. Season 3 would not come out till 2005, which is very interesting for a show like this, is to take like a 4-year break like that before coming back. Same voice cast, same animation. They actually added a new child character, Enrique, to the group.
Yep.
But it's interesting in that, like I say, shows don't usually do that kind of thing. I wonder if there was some kind of behind-the-scenes conflict, something like that, that prevented it from being made for a while. But regardless, like I say, unlike you guys, I did not see this show when it originally aired. I actually first found it in like 2005, 2006 on YouTube, because this is back in the days when YouTube was like the Wild West and people were uploading anything on there. I typed in Dragon Cartoon, I got this, and I watched an episode, and while I wasn't as captivated as it probably would have been if I was the target audience, it still was really charming, and it still is today. This is like such an incredibly just sweet and wholesome little show. It really
Yeah.
makes me wonder why no one ever tried a reboot / reimagining of it, come to think of it, because it's one of those things that I feel like Friendship is Magic, like Care Bears, like one of those things, this could have been eternal. This could have been one of those things that lasted, but
I agreed, but I did find on the internet that blew my mind about in this year. Someone
Right.
had a recording of the Dragon Tales musical where they have puppeteers of the dragons from Dragon Tales, of all of them, and it's a live play of Dragon Tales. They have
I mean,
one episode.
that sounds
a special
awesome.
episode.
Yeah,
That sounds
honest-
awesome.
that kind of reminds me of the Pokemon musical, which
It's like
man,
that.
I'm
Yeah.
imagining. Yeah, oh wait, what?
That's
was
what
that?
it is. It's like that.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome! Now I'm imagining Ord, Zach, Wheezy, Cassie, and the two kids with Ash Ketchum and
Yeah,
Elliot
that
Ketchum
would be cool.
facing off against Giovanni while Giovanni's doing the freaking Giovanni song. Oh my god!
Oh, God.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
God. But anyway, like I said, that sounds really cool. I like the mix of puppetry and that. That's always a really cool thing to see. And
Oh.
I feel like if Dragon Tales came out, like, say, a decade or two later, like, say it came out, instead of, like, 1999, it came out in, like, 2009, 2010, this absolutely would have gotten a fandom on, like, Tumblr and other places. And, like, this absolutely would have been like that. Would this have gone the Friendship is Magic route, where he would have gotten an
Probably.
episode where Cassie basically basically a laser fries a centaur in the face? We may never know.
Probably not. I mean,
Probably
on the one
not.
hand, FIM definitely goes crazy, but on the other hand, this isn't FIM. This is Dragon Tales, meant for younger kids, yet still a generally family-friendly audience. Also, given the fact that the half season of season 3 happened and most of them are reruns, also given the fact that cartoons nowadays might be a little dodgy, I don't really feel myself saying with absolute certainty that this show deserves a reboot. I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if it did, or at the very least, I would be very excited if they, did it right, unlike most reboots. But I don't know. There's a very high chance that they won't, and I think it should remain in the past as is. But that's
Yeah.
just
Sometimes it's best to leave things like that in the past, come to think of
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It
Right.
sucks, but yeah, I mean, some things can't last forever in the world.
yeah.
Especially
rip
in this
Rod-
generation, not a whole lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially with Rod Rodeker no longer, or Ron Rodeker, sorry, unable to back up the project anymore since he passed away.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, but on more brighter news, it's time for the question of the week, which is, what is your favorite relaxing show to watch? Elaborate a bit on that, Lud, what that means.
What I mean is basically, what show did you watch basically to like unwind from anything, or basically just to be like, a show that basically felt like a deep body massage, if that makes any sense. Something that you could just watch and just go like, like totally zone out and stuff like that. And for me, I'm gonna pick a Nickelodeon show for that, which is
boy.
actually one that always was my favorite and probably is still my favorite of the 3 initial Nicktoons, and that's gonna be Doug. There's something about Doug that I don't know. It always just felt like so calming to me for some reason compared to stuff like other TV shows at the time. I guess maybe the fact that it was the whole slice of life show and that really wasn't done before the early 90s helped. And I don't know, there's something about it as well that I always liked it, and I felt like the people on the internet didn't like it. I was like, wait, why don't you like that? But I understand why. But I feel like about it, why it really appeals to you, to me rather, why it really appeals to me is it's kind of like, in a way, a 1990s version of Charlie Brown. You can honestly kind of make a little bit of a connection to it. Doug is a little bit wackier than Charlie Brown in a few cases, like with the imagination stuff and Quail Man and things like that. But I really feel it comes in the same mold as Peanuts in a way, you know? Yeah, it comes in the same type of just like simple slice of life stories about normal kids and normal situations like that. And I don't know, I always liked it, and I always laughed hard, especially at like Roger Klotz. He always, and Mr. Dink. I am so glad Mr. Dink became a meme with the "You broke my grill," because just the normal clip of it makes me laugh hysterically.
Oh, is that right?
Classic. But anyway, no. But yeah, something about Doug in general, and I actually didn't mind the Disney version of Doug either, to be honest, as a kid. I did not notice the difference. So I don't know what this is about me, but yeah.
Oh, and then of course there's Vinny from Vine Sauce.
Yep. And I'm glad he did.
He just does the Dink voice.
I'm glad he does. It always makes me laugh. Very expensive, Douglas. I had to do it, but yeah.
Oh, my grill!
Classic.
man.
But yeah, that's gonna be my pick for my favorite relaxing cartoon is gonna be Doug. Angron, what would your favorite be?
That's a little bit of a tough one because there are a lot of shows I just love to sit back and watch and just like turn my mind off towards and actually enjoy. But the problem is a lot of them aren't exactly relaxing, or at the very least in a way that I actively like just shut myself off and just make myself and just watch it so that way I can just feel calm and at ease. Like on the one hand, you got Dragon Prince, you got oh boy, you got a lot of stuff. You got Dragon Prince, you got Agretzko, you got the Snoopy Show, which is another thing. But on the other hand, those shows, while nice, aren't exactly what I would call peak relaxing, which is a little bit sad. But thankfully, there is a show that definitely I can find relaxing, and that would have to be Bluey, hands down. Like, on the one hand, Dragon Tales definitely is a relaxing show, and I definitely vibe with it whenever I can. But on the other hand, shows like that are generally mean I have to be in that particular mindset at the time. Bluey, thankfully, is in the same boat as it and Friendship is Magic, except it's a little more, shall we say, oh gosh, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, except it's a little more open for me, as in, like, I watch it and I don't immediately feel cringe from it, because it's tackling not just adults but kids like it's supposed to. Like, so much subject matter that was tackled in this, I 100% was behind. Talking about loss, talking about divorces, talking about infertility, help, talking about freaking hogging and the past, and like, just there's just so much in this show that I was very surprised that BBC and no, not BBC, ABC was able to allow, because of this show. Keep in mind, this is an Australian-made show made by the same people who allowed who funded freaking Meta Runner, of all things. Like, it is that crazy, and I absolutely love it. So that's gonna be my pick. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I was just listening to you. Like I say, I really think, like I say, that is a choice. And Bluey has actually gotten really popular on the internet too, as a whole. And I think it's because there really is a dearth of the kind of shows like Dragon Tales and that stuff are either like soulless reboots or stuff like YouTube Kids brain rot and that. And it's a
Oh
shame,
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
I
mean to go on
mean,
that
there's
side,
not a
but
whole lot of like kid shows that are teaching this generation a whole lot of things that little kids don't understand. And I think I'm kind of glad that Bluey's doing that, because it makes sense. I've seen a couple of Bluey's and I see, like, okay, these girls are just learning like other things, and it's kind of cool how they're learning a bit and they're teaching kids who are just watching. They're like, oh, get on your feet and let's do something. No, we'll just watch and learn and just, get through
Yeah.
in a kid's view, like, oh, we should probably, like, be patient and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, more serious topics were tackled here. You'd think stuff like Steven Universe, freaking Arthur, and a bunch of others would be on top of that a little bit more, but Bluey handily blows them out of the water, and it's relaxing each time I see it, and pretty hilarious. Oh man.
yeah, but that's a really great choice right there, though.
Yep.
So let's see, Math, what would your favorite be?
My choice is going to be something that probably none of you have ever heard of.
Oh boy.
Go
It's
ahead.
this show called The Helpful Fox Senko-san.
Never heard of it.
Nope.
Never
It's
heard of
based
it.
on a manga. What?
Yeah, we
It's
never
based
heard
on a
of
manga. It started in about 2017. The anime is from 2019.
it.
The basic premise is that this typical salaryman dude is visited by these shrine maiden fox spirits who their sole job is to make him at peace and relaxed and just give him a good life because his ancestor helped them. So they're trying to return the favor to this poor schmuck now.
Oh, apparently,
And
yeah. Apparently,
yes,
there's an English dub called Meddlesome Kitsune Senko-san.
yeah.
Oh man.
I think that the idea for the show was because a lot of salarymen in Japan have just the drudge that we do, but magnified. So
Oh hell yeah.
this is one of those you should really relax and enjoy life kind of shows, and everything about this is so calming. The art style and color scheme is soothing. The characters are very bright and cheerful, but not in an overly enthusiastic way, in a very calming way. Everything about this show just oozes, that was nice and pleasant.
Yeah. Other anime like Agretsuko, African Salaryman, and Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid also exemplify how tough it is working as a salaryman in Japan.
Yeah, and while most of those make jokes about that sort of life, this one is in that vein of, I'm going to show you how to make it better.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Agretsuko somewhat does the same thing, but it kind of more addresses it rather than actually tackles it.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But, like, so let's see.
Stryker.
Stryker, what would your favorites be?
You know what? This is kind of hard because not much. Not I really haven't because like most of the shows that would be considered this I watched as a kid. But even then, most of the show I barely remember a lot of shows that I watched when I was younger. I guess I'm gonna have to say, Friendship is Magic for now.
That's still a great one. Like I say, Friendship is Magic is one of those shows that it became a huge thing for a reason, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
neat.
Like I say, it's definitely one that, again, it's one that probably a lot of people expected all of us to answer. But like I say, it's one that, again, it makes sense, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
All good. Now let's see.
Jordan?
Jordan, what would your pick be?
That is hard. I guess mine would probably Wishbone.
Show. Very cute.
I mean,
Yeah.
because it's calming and it does have like some adventure, but you just sit there and just watch this cute little dog just dream of, being, and that kind of got my inspiration. Or Read Between the Lines. That was a good one. That's
Between
kind of
the
relaxing.
lines.
Wait, what was the show called again?
Between the
Read Between
lines.
the
Oh,
Lines.
that's right. Awesome pick, hands down.
Oh, Read
Oh,
Between
man.
the Lines. I never read that one.
So it's
Yeah.
basically another
Interesting.
Jim Henson TV show where these lions are like teaching people
But
how
it's
to read.
Between
It's
the
kind of calm and
Lines.
funny.
Yeah.
And it was
I'd
something
watch that.
cool to like watch when you're just want to relax and read Between the Lions, or Dragon Tales with a calming one. Those are my
Oh
picks.
yeah, Dragon Tales.
That definitely, yeah. I'm surprised more people didn't actually answer with Dragon Tales, come to think of it. But even though he's not recording with this episode, Shark actually answered the question as well as the Dragoness Scale. Right now I'm going to read his answer to it verbatim. Here's what he wrote. After some thinking, I think that his favorite relaxing cartoon would be Hey Arnold. During a time where cartoons were all crazy and nutty, Hey Arnold took a different approach by being more down to earth and a calm slice of life cartoon. It was kids being kids, and the characters were likable. They managed to make everyday problems really interesting to watch. Sure, you had stuff like the ghost train sometimes, but even then, characters still reacted and acted in a realistic way. It was something you'd watch when you wanted to break from something like SpongeBob, Angry Beavers, or Zim. And he ends it with, "Now somebody give me a big old sack of money." Had to reference Grandpa Phil. But, yep, that's really good. But now it is time for the patent pending Dragoness Scale. And this is going to be an interesting one because we are ranking not just one, but technically two Dragonesses in this episode with Cassie and Wheezie. Or Zach and
Technically
Wheezie.
three with Zach and Wheezie.
Technically, yeah, I want to get down to it. Yep. So I'll go first, and I'll say for Cassie, I'm gonna give her a 7 out of 10. She has a very charming design. I really like the voice. I really like that she's like she's the most innocent of them, and she's also like probably the smartest of them. But
Well,
I don't. And like I say, her voice actress does a really great job, but I don't know. There's something just holding her back a tiny bit for me, and I don't know why. It's something that, again, I feel like she's more of the straight man, if you will, in the antics, basically.
indeed.
Mhm.
Yeah, And there's nothing wrong with that. A straight, the comedy straight man can be really great. I mean, the Marx Brothers without Zeppo, they kind of fell off a cliff. So there's always a need for like a straight man. But again, Cassie does have a lot of character, and I would like to give her higher, but I feel like 7 out of 10 is realistically what my gut says as far as she can go. Wheezie, on the other hand, I'm going to give her a very high score of 9 out of 10. And the reason for that is because two-headed dragons are always something that's fun, and it's fun to see a lot of them. And the fact that they do the whole odd couple motif with them, that's really clever. That is something that I don't think has ever really been done with the idea of the whole two-headed dragon thing. I mean, it was done technically in Quest for Camelot, but that movie is, yeah. So yeah, again, Kathleen Barr, she does a fantastic job as Wheezie, and the voice doesn't bother me. I could really see why it would bother some other people, especially because it can be a little abrasive to those that are not expecting it. But I don't know, I like it. I like the design. I like the voice. I like I like the whole dynamic she has with her brother, them literally being joined at the hip, and all that. And I really feel like, again, her and Zach are the characters they had the most fun with in order to like basically write with. That's I get the vibe just from seeing them in this episode. And we are going to talk about this show more later in the future, and that'll be very interesting to get to it and to see more about these characters. But yeah, for now, Cassie gets a 7 out of 10 from me, and Wheezie gets a 9 out of 10. Angron?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna agree for the most part. I will say that Cassie will get an 8 out of 10 from me. She is definitely a childhood crush of mine for the most part. But in later years, I mean, she's still a nice character, and she's definitely got a lot of dynamic as the group mom, more or less, or the group big sister, somewhat. But yeah, I mean, the only thing holding her back for me really is the fact that other characters do their characters better than Cassie. That and not too that, and sometimes there are some moments where Cassie is kind of for me. She has a big family, which we'll get to in a moment in later episodes, but yeah, she those moments don't exactly do it all that well for me. Wheezie, meanwhile, good lordy, she is absolutely getting a 9 out of 10 as well. Like, I mean, again, she's definitely an acquired taste for a lot of people. Not myself, because she definitely has an amazing voice. It's definitely high pitched. She can sometimes be a little crazy sometimes, but I do admit she is 100% the best thing about this series for the most part. There are certainly other characters like Lorca and Quetzal and whatnot that definitely stand out a little more than her in the main gang, in my opinion, especially Ord. But yeah, she is handily the better of the trio. So I'm definitely giving her a 9 out of 10. That's going to be it for me.
That definitely sounds good there. And yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from, especially with both your rankings, Let's see, Math, what would you pick?
Oh boy.
I'm probably going to be the odd man out today, and I'm actually flipping them.
Oh boy.
I prefer Cassie over Wheezie.
I can see that.
Cassie is, as has been said already, very sweet, calm, very timid character, stereotypically so, but she's really charming and cute. The way that it's done is, I think, the way that it's supposed to be done correctly. It's very Fluttershy like.
Yep.
It's just, I think, done a little bit too much at times, which is why it's only a 9 instead of a 10. Wheezie, on the other hand, is an 8. She's the Pinkie Pie of the group, and she's a little bit too extroverted and zany for me. Not that that's a bad thing. She just goes over the top a little more often than I like. Otherwise, great character, and I love that design. The idea of it's two-headed conjoined dragons, but each of them are their own distinct characters.
Yeah, Zach and Wheezie both get a 9 out of 10 for me. For that reason. Yeah. Also, interesting fact about Zach and Wheezie: their spines come together to make a blue coloration down the base of their spine and their tail.
Neat.
Interesting.
Yep. Or at the very least, a little bit purple. But that's just me.
I can kind of see that. So yeah, let's see. Stryker, what would yours be?
Well, from the way Math put Cassie, I think I'm gonna have to give him a tie
Oh,
of
so
9 out of 10.
for both?
Yeah, for
Dang.
both of them.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Nice.
Plus, like from what I've seen on the internet, a lot of people, I just noticed a lot of people really enjoy Cassie, but this is just, I know it's my opinion, but from what I've noticed. But for me, like over the years, I've grown kind of fond of Wheezie. Plus, after watching, after watching My Little Pony, season 2, uh, with knowing that the voice actress has played some interesting characters in Gen 4, it's put Wheezie in a different light for me.
I can kind of see that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I definitely, can see why you would give both of them that score because again, the characters really feel fleshed out in a way that is, very different compared to other cartoons and they're all so distinct and so well written.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So let's see. Jordan, what would you give them?
For me, again, Cassie's my favorite. I'm gonna give her a 9 because again, she's the shy one because she tries to be big for being the big sister in her family. So I can see why it's hard for her to, get that motivated. Like, okay, I gotta be better and speak my mind. So I'll give her a 9. Wheezy 8
Okay.
because I love her personality, but with how she is, sometimes she takes it a little too far and gets into trouble with her brother attached to her. I'm like, wait a minute, Wheezy, stop! When something happens with those two, and usually Zach has to pay the consequences for it.
Please
Like
God!
when he had a prickly pine and needle in his foot, that was because Wheezy got so excited they didn't see a creature right there, and Zach stepped on it.
Yeah, she's
Wow.
definitely, again, chaotic as all hell and more
Yeah.
likely to get the duo in danger more than you'd think, but it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so 8 for Wheezy and 9 for Cassie.
Yeah, I feel
Okay.
that.
Yep. And as previously mentioned, the shark, although he could not be here to record, he gave his Dragoness Scale rankings for both Cassie and Wheezie and reasons for them. Cassie, he is giving a 7 out of 10. Let me just type that in 1 second.
A 7 out of 10. Oh man, it's also funny that Zach, like every time those two talk, again, the whole couple thing I mentioned earlier really shines through in later seasons because how they talk absolutely is indicative of that. It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Excuse you. Oh my god, that
Sorry.
nearly sounded like a squeaking hiccup. Yeah. Oh man, but anyways, if these two are easily getting high score, are capable of getting high scores, then it's honestly going to be impressive what the other dragons will be getting when we get to them.
Agreed.
And you. Oh, on other unrelated to Cassie and Zach and Wheezie, I also enjoyed Lorca as much as I did Ord because they're both two of easily one of media's greatest dragons, hands down. Like Lorca's
Mm-hmm.
disabled, but good lordy, does that not stop him from doing some amazing stuff, playing basketball, climbing, and
Taking up
oh
heavy
man,
things that need to be picked up that the others can't do.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. Uh, but so he is putting in. Lud's currently putting in Shark scores, and he will get to them momentarily. But we're just trying to ultimately make time go a little bit faster by talking about Dragon Tales.
Okay,
a little
I'm
bit
here. Sorry. About that, guys.
All good.
What happened? Oh God, hold on. Were you guys able to hear me then?
No, we were not.
All right, my apologies. I have a new keyboard. I accidentally hit the wrong thing there.
Whoops.
For Cassie, he gave her a 7 out of 10. He said that she's cute, she's nice, she's quick to bond with the kids, and she works as the smart one of the bunch. With that being said, her voice is a little too high pitched for his liking.
Which can probably
And-
explain why you think why that score 8 out of 10
Yep.
or
Yep.
7 out of 10.
Now
whatnot.
for Zach and Now for Zach and Wheezie, he gave her a 8 out of 10. He says that it is one of the most unique takes on a two-headed dragon, as not only does each head have a different design, but their whole half is different, from the colors to the very slight details. He likes how much of their distinct personalities they see not only in dialogue, but also in ways like their house looks, with his side being clean and her side being messy, amongst other things. So yeah.
Definitely.
Yep. My apologies for that. I accidentally hit the mute button on my recorder. I'm terribly sorry about that.
Don't worry. That's why you got
Yeah,
us
just-
picking up the slack.
I know. I'm terribly sorry about that. I feel so
All
stupid
good.
now. God, I feel such an idiot. But
All good.
anyway, that's going to be it for this week. If you have any questions or you want to send us your ideas for a reboot of the show, you can email us at fierydiscourse@outlook.com. Visit us on Twitter at twitter.com/fierydiscourse. Be sure to like and subscribe the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ludmillanon. Be sure to save the playlist as well as like and subscribe and hit the bell for the notification. Next week, we're going to be talking about the 2023 Star Wars Young Jedi Adventure episode, The Talon Takeover. That's going to be very interesting because will it be the first Disney Star Wars related thing that gets a high score from us? We will have to see. But
yeah, we'll see.
I think we'll like it more than we think. But that'll be it for this week. And until then, thank you guys so much for watching and take care.
Later.
Bye bye.
Adios.
Peace out.
See you all
Later.
next week.